they have lost a lot in the PR campaign on this issue. Now they lose another PR campaign at Contact Road 2. And they just don't want this problem to resurface again. And they ask the group of people not to go ahead with this case. They fight. Even though some case the matter has been put into the court. I would say that I like to have solution for everyone, for your case, and even my home has public open space too, unfortunately, and we like to see the solution. But I don't know whether the government is sincere to put this case for everyone or just for Metro Harbourville. But I think since their special service to Metro Harbourville will be diminished because the infighting of Metro Harbourville, the willingness of the developer to get involved with this, and also that. And I think it will be unethical for the flat owner to pay the waiver fee. It should be paid by the developer. If you look at the project itself, of course, well, the project has been closed, the money account has been freezed. Well, if you look at the power of the developer and the resources, the waiver fee is just a tiny portion of their bank account holdings. And I think the government should ask the developer pay for that debt, which was the collusion between the government and the developer. I have to say that. So this is one point I do want to echo with Mr. Yu as an owner who has a public open space too. Another one small point I want to mention that after the problem of design of public open space be explored, I would say, the town planning board has learned something, but which is not enough. What they do now is they will approve the public open space, at least on ground level. They say they will no longer approve public open space on podium, but for new public open space, they will require two things. One is they will approve the perimeter, the number first, and then they will ask the developer to come back with design, which is a great improvement after the case with Shuntan, your case, Metro Harbourville case, and my home case too. But I think I think the public has to speak out. Not only the town planning board. When, for example, when the new design has submitted to the town board, it will actually has to publicize to everyone to comment. And I think the channel of comments should be even better than the usual comment, the channel for town planning cases, because this will be used by everyone in Hong Kong. I maybe soon move to Clearwater Bay and use the public open space soon. So this is the whole issue for all of us.
Thank you very much. I think the time is
I think Gracie has enough input there. I think in terms of existing problems, and Mr. Yu, I think Portofino, it's in a green area and have green open space in a green area. I mean, why even charge them a waiver fee? Even a waiver $1 and get it over with, get the problem resolved. I mean, there's no public loss by closing down that public open space.
400,000 square feet of public open space.
Yeah, but there's nothing. But a public doesn't lose anything. I like to make one big point, and that is this: what we do in Hong Kong is we sell this entire piece of land, with all these red things in it. And then, of course, we're creating a lot of public open space in between those private developments that need to be resolved. Why not sell this as a separate building, that as a separate building, that as a separate building, that is a separate building, and the government takes care of that public open space, that public open space, and that public open space. We don't have to sell these big plots of land. And that's one of the other things that I think is misleading in the guidelines. These guidelines compare Singapore, New York, and Hong Kong, but it doesn't show you the plots. The plot sizes in New York are much smaller than the Hong Kong. Take a plot size of Kowloon Station, take a plot size in New York. So you cannot compare both. Now, of course, we have topography issues in Hong Kong that you don't have in New York, so there are situations where we need these guidelines. And I'm glad we see much improvement compared to when we started this issue 19 January of 2008, one day before the issue blew up. We had a conference here in Public Open Space, and that's kind of like was the start of this discussion. So it's good to see the progress, but I think we have to address the real issue. Do not sell mega lots of lands to a developer. Cut it up and have more diversity instead of creating gated communities. Solves the entire problem. Avoidance of the problem. Don't sell big pieces of land. We continue to do it. Cut down the size.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. I think we have a lot of other occasions for CitySpeak events. One on CDOs, I guess. One on town planning board, maybe. This seemed to be some issue. Well, thank you very much for all participants and the audience. And is there any place where people can still post comments on a website or write to you? Or yes, and
depends on Paul's comment. Actually, the guideline is not misleading. We try to clarify all those misleading concepts that Paul tried to advocate to us. Also, I would like to respond to this gentleman's complaint, because for this study, we particularly pay a visit to Portofino on a rainy day. And we were being chased by dogs, between two fences. And in fact, I mean, personally, as an architect, I think the design was wrong. Should not have public open space like this, and then come up with a big lawn in front of one house. I think this is a developer's tricks, I would say, and trying to negotiate with the government, getting more land, plot ratio, and all this stuff. But how to avoid that? I think we come back and try to understand the situation. I think because, I think this gentleman also mentioned, Hong Kong doesn't have an urban design idea, or not to mention urban design plan, because in other cities, urban design plan is a legal document. So we already have the public spaces in between buildings, and so this building A, building B, or whatever, and those system has been laid out right up there. Now Hong Kong is cutting the land. This become A developer's land, the B developer's land, and then these two developers come together and have a joint venture, and then blur all the barrier. So I think the POPs is also become very passive, because the government, I don't know why today I'm sitting this side, but the government to be proactively try to provide some public space in that situation, that I can understand. So I think to avoid that, firstly, we have to have urban design panels somehow. Whoever do it, I don't know. Secondly, I think design is very important in the process. I think all those mistakes are because of the design. Nobody's taking care of that. Okay, why put the podium, why put the public space on podium? If there's authority saying, no, this is not proper. Or in the Portofino case, why we put the open space around the estates? If there's a designer who can have authority to say, no, this is not proper. Even in SciComm, we don't need that, right? So it's out of the question. Now I understand, now we're in a situation, we have to try to rectify it as much as possible. I think now we come to this. If we separate the scenario in two, past is past, then we have some remedial measures, I would say remedial, to rectify the mistakes as much as possible and look forward. So the idea why we have the design guidelines is because we look for the future on the one hand, at the same time we work with the government and also different kind of intelligent people to rectify it as much as possible. I have to defend.
Okay, thank you very much. I think everybody wants to go for lunch, and maybe you just write emails to the government bureau. Okay, thank you very much.